Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Call of Heroes. This movie tells the story of a group of villagers who must stand up to a warlord's psychopath son. When their city is threatened, can they gather the warriors to free them? Let's find out in Call of Heroes. Call of Heroes is set in the year 1914, where mainland China is divided into two parts, which are North and South. After the dissolution of the Qing dynasty, China's military government often competed for supreme power. On the other hand, Marshal Zhou, son of a military governor, carried out large-scale invasions of other cities with his troops. Indiscriminately, Zhou and his troops killed and robbed the civilians. So many residents chose to flee and go as far as possible from their cities to avoid the cruelty of Zhou and his troops. The scene then switches to showing a woman named Bai Ling who is taking her students as far as possible because Zhou and his troops are colonizing their city. Bai Ling and her students then rested in a diner to quench their hunger and thirst. However, the diner was attacked by a herd of robbers not long after arriving. Bai Ling and the other diner visitors were frightened by the robbery. One of the robbers approached a sleeping man. Instead of being afraid, the man named Ma Feng got angry at the robber for disturbing his sleep. No doubt, they were involved in a fierce fight. Unexpectedly, Ma Feng, who looks sloppy with his shabby clothes and appearance like a tramp, turns out to be a great warrior. He could easily defeat the band of robbers alone. After beating all the robbers, he then left there. Elsewhere, in a town called Paching, several people were seen having lunch together. They are the city guard group and are led by a man named Yung. At one time, the city of Pucheng was visited by a mob of residents from other towns who begged to take refuge in the city because they had lost their homes due to the invasion that Zhou and his troops intensified. Chaos ensued because the residents of Pacheng City refused the presence of the refugees in their city. Yung and his troops finally arrived and tried to break up the commotion. He then tried to convince the Pacheng residents to help the refugees who were in trouble. After being advised by Yung, the residents finally allowed the refugees to live in their city. Shortly after, Bai Ling and her students arrived in the city, where they were greeted by her cousin, who immediately took her and her students to his home. Bai Ling then told her cousin and Yung about Zhou and his troops' cruelty when they attacked her city. They immediately killed the residents indiscriminately. Then, women, the elderly, even children did not escape the cruelty of Zhou and his troops. At that time, Bai Ling was teaching her students at school. Seeing the arrival of Zhou and his troops, she immediately rushed to take her students to escape from there as far as possible. While listening to Bai Ling's story, Pacheng City suddenly had a group of thugs who just entered without permission. Because it was considered presumptuous, Yung immediately intervened and chased away the thug gang. But the chief thug, who felt insulted by Yung's expulsion, even challenged him to fight. Yung then accepted the challenge. While they were fighting, there came a man who was the richest in the city, named Liu. Liu then breaks up Yung's fight with the head of the thugs. He then tells Yung that he was the one who had hired the thugs to come here to help them deal with the invasion of Zhou and his troops that might come shortly. After the commotion was suppressed, the attention of all the townspeople turned to Ma Feng, who had just arrived in the city. Yung then approached Ma Feng, who intended to shave his thick beard. Yung inquired about his identity and his purpose in coming to Pucheng City. Ma Feng only replied that he was a traveler who was visiting the city. Because he thinks that Ma Feng is not a bad person, Yung leaves him. In the evening, Bai Ling came to Ma Feng, who was resting, to thank him for saving her and her students when robbers attacked them at the diner. Bai Ling, knowing that Ma Feng is a good person and good at martial arts, then begs him to take and protect her students on their journey to the capital because that is the only safe place from Zhou and his troops. However, Ma Feng immediately rejected her request and told her to leave. The following day, when the city was still quiet and not many residents had woken up, a man dressed all in white entered Pucheng City alone. That man was none other than Zhou, whose cruelty had spread throughout the region. Bai Ling's cousin, who didn't know that he was Zhou, then greeted the man warmly and treated him like a guest. Bai Ling, who had just come down from her room, was very surprised to see Zhou's presence at her cousin's house. She immediately remembered the incident when Zhou viciously killed the people in her town. Bai Ling tried to warn her cousin, but Zhou immediately killed her cousin after serving him a bowl of noodles without onions. Bai Ling tried to prevent Zhou from killing her student who was sleeping near them, but Zhou ignored her and continued to kill the innocent little boy. After that, he killed Bai Ling. Hearing the gunshots, Yung and his troops went straight to Bai Ling's cousin's house and found that they had all been killed by Zhou. Yung immediately ordered his men to arrest Zhou and bring him to the city hall for trial. Seeing the crowd in the town hall, Ma Feng found out that Bai Ling had been killed. All the residents of Pucheng City, very angry with Zhou's actions, agreed to sentence the man to death by beheading, where the execution of the death penalty will be carried out the next day. In the crowd, It turned out that one of the higher-ups in Chou's army was a man named Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi then revealed Chou's identity to everyone and asked Yun to free Chou or he and Chou's troops would attack Pucheng City. Despite being intimidated by Zhang Yi and Chou's heavily armed troops, Yun remained steadfast in his determination to uphold justice and punish Chou for his actions. Unexpectedly, Chou instead asked Zhang Yi to withdraw the troops and leave. Zhang Yi complied with his superior's request. Before leaving, the man warned everyone not to hurt or kill Chou because the entire Paching township would be massacred if that happened. Hearing Zhang Yi's threat, Liu tries to convince Yun to release Chou for the safety of all the townspeople. However, Yun remained firm in his stance to send Chou for trial. On the other hand, when Ma Feng was getting ready to leave, Yun's wife came up to him and gave a letter written by Bai Ling to him. Bai Ling once again pleaded with Ma Feng to take her students to the capital in the letter. After reading Bai Ling's letter, Ma Feng went to Yun to warn him about Zhang Yi, his elder brother. Ma Feng says that Zhang Yi is a very great swordsman, and he doubts that Yun can beat him. But Yun said that he was not afraid of Zhang Yi or Chou, therefore, he will remain firm in his stance to punish anyone who has committed a crime in the city. After the conversation with Yun, Ma Feng was getting ready to take Bai Ling's students to the capital, according to her will. In the evening, some of Chou's henchmen infiltrate the city of Pacheng, but their actions were caught by Yun and his men who were on guard. They were then involved in a pretty fierce battle until Yun and his troops finally defeated Chou's henchmen. When Yun and his men checked Chou's condition in prison, they saw he was trying to hang himself. They immediately put Chou down and saved him from dying because the entire Pacheng township would be massacred if Chou died. Seeing Yun and his men panicking, Chou then laughed with satisfaction because it was indeed one of his tactics to toy with the psychological condition of Chou's townspeople by using his power. Meanwhile, Ma Feng stopped by Zhang Yi's place to meet his elder brother. Even though they have different goals in life, Zhang Yi still welcomes Ma Feng's arrival in his place. Ma Feng and Zhang Yi had previously worked together as bodyguards for officials. One time, Ma Feng witnessed the official killing of innocent commoners. Seeing this, his conscience was stirred and he intended to kill the official to take revenge. However, his actions were immediately prevented by Zhang Yi. Since then, they were separated because of different life goals. Ma Feng then advised Zhang Yi to resign from his position in the Chou army and start doing good. But Zhang Yi ignored him. Elsewhere, after a fight against Chou's henchmen who infiltrated the city, Captain Yun visits one of his friends named Liu by the lake. Liu tells Yun that Liu wants to negotiate with him. Upon hearing Liu's name, Yun leaves as Liu will surely try to convince him to release Chou. Liu suggested that he should think more about the safety of the townspeople, rather than insisting on punishing Chou, which would bring disaster to all citizens. Despite being persuaded by his best friend, Yun remains firm in his stance. He instead lectured Liu to keep fighting against colonialism because they were not slaves. When Yun and Liu were involved in a conversation, the gang of thugs who argued with Yun returned. Liu apparently sent them to kill Yun because he insisted on sending Chou on trial. Yun and Liu finally worked together against the gang of thugs. Yun can easily defeat the thugs and kill their leader, but Liu had to die in the fight. After Liu was killed, Yun and his men went to Liu to demand accountability, but when he got there, all the townspeople had gathered. Liu tries to incite the townspeople that Yun can harm them all with his stubbornness. Although Yun persisted and said that Zhang Yi and his troops would still slaughter them even after Chou was released. Even so, the townspeople keep begging on their knees to Yun to free Chou for everyone's safety. Seeing all the residents who looked desperate, Yun relented and said that starting tomorrow he would resign as the chief supervisor of the city and leave Chou's fate to all the residents. He didn't care anymore whether Chou was released or executed. The next day, Yun's wife and his daughter, along with his troops, were getting ready to leave the city. While Yun chose to stay because they were still worried about the townspeople, Ma Feng began his journey to the capital to take Bai Ling's students to safety. Not long after, Zhang Yi and his troops came to the city of Pacheng to welcome Chou's release. However, Chou asked Yun to free himself. Reluctantly, Yun let go of the shackles in Chou's hands. He then tells Chou to imprison himself and not attack the townspeople. After that, Liu held a banquet with Chou and his henchmen, hoping to gain a place in Chou's army. However, of course it was only in vain because the psychopath Chou immediately killed Liu and ordered his troops to attack the city. Chou and his henchmen then tortured Yun by drowning his head. On the other hand, Yun's wife, who was worried about her husband's safety, then entrusted her daughter to her maid, while she would return to Pacheng City to help Yun. Yun's men decided to return to Pacheng City with Yun's wife. When Yun's wife and her men are about to leave, Ma Feng arrives and decides to join them. Ma Feng then entered the city gates of Pacheng alone and told Chou's troops that he wanted to meet Chou and Zhang Yi. On the other hand, Yung's wife and her men infiltrate the city. Some of them had sneaked into the armory to collect explosives, while the others sneaked into the soup kitchen and asked the cooks to put laxatives into the Zhou army's dishes to make them all suddenly sick to their stomachs. After that, Yung's henchmen tried to gather the townspeople somewhere in secret and devise a plan to launch a counterattack. Ma Feng, who was finally confronted by Zhou and Zhang Yi, then freed Yung. When Ma Feng was about to attack Zhou, Zhang Yi immediately blocked him, and now Ma Feng had to face his elder brother. On the other hand, Yung's henchmen purposely blow up the Zhou army's camp and the citizens begin their attack against Zhou's army. In an instant, the city of Pucheng became chaotic as the entire town's citizens resisted the oppression of Zhou and his troops. Meanwhile, Yung, who was freed, immediately fought Zhou. Ma Feng and Zhang Yi fought on mounds of jars, and as their fight got more intense, some of the jars broke and caused an avalanche. Realizing this, the two of them rushed to escape. However, Ma Feng could not escape from there because his feet were stuck in a pile of jugs. Seeing Ma Feng struggling to get his feet out, while the avalanche of jugs was accelerating unexpectedly, Zhang Yi sacrificed himself to save Ma Feng. While trying to remove Zhang Yi's body from the pile of jugs, Ma Feng looked very sad and lost because Zhang Yi still had a good heart. Meanwhile, Yung is quite overwhelmed by Zhou, who attacks him with a barrage of bullets. Yung's wife comes to help, but she gets shot by Zhou instead. Yung then concentrated all his strength against Zhou's bullet. After that, the bullet bounced off and instead hit Zhou and knocked him down. Zhou can still rise from the attack and intends to attack Yung again. But then, he was stabbed by a man and ganged up by the whole town to death. Finally, Zhou and his troops were defeated. The film ends